I used all the main conventions that all magazines use, like strapline, a masthead, obviously an article, main images. Did that obviously because to make it look like a magazine in the first place, and it makes the consumers feel comfortable with what they're looking at. So as well as like using the main conventions, I overlap the main image to show that the magazine is actually popular. A lot of magazines do that. It's just a good effect, I think. People will look at the magazine and go, well, they're not too bothered about showing all of the masthead. That must be a popular magazine, I'm going to buy it now. Usually the target audience don't even need to look at the masthead to tell what it is. Off the conventions, like, clearly, a lot of house magazines have plain white backgrounds. Having the plain background helps to contrast, like, the puffs and the cover lines easier. Plain background helps to contrast, like, the puffs and the cover lines and everything a lot easier. It brings it out, like the foreground really stands out to you. Why most house magazines are really simplistic, because it goes by the saying less is more. The main image challenges stereotypes of that all DJs are scruffy. I tried to make Fresco look like really smart, which isn't usually that popular in DJs nowadays. You usually see them at festivals, they all look casually dressed, so I think that really does like challenge the stereotype for that. Looking at it now, I think it does focus mainly on the male gender a lot. I think that was unintentional. If I did it again, I would have added, obviously, a female. The magazine is open to all genders. The contents and articles is open to anyone. It's not specified to a certain gender. I suppose it could be argued that, like, I've included the colour purple, which could be considered as a girly colour. I'd say that's mainly because, like, purple can be seen on perfumes, on women's clothes. The colour scheme of black, white and purple focuses on all genders, I'd say. The main age, I'd say it's open to like 12 to 13 year olds. 30. What am I about 30? It's not very... Let me just sort out the brightness. 12 to 30 year olds. 30 year olds, like the older age, because the magazine offers festival tickets to, like, obviously the older people, because a 12-year-old wouldn't really go on their own, would they? Not unless you're hardcore like me. We offer tickets to the older age, like 30-year-olds, but the content is also like child friendly, I'd say. I'd say that like the youngest age would be that a 12-year-old would be able to understand the actual content. One of the main media groups that I did research was Bure? I think that's how you pronounce it. Bure Media Group. I know a lot of my fellow students did this as well, but the thing is, it's the most popular one, and I also thought it'd be more reliable. They could branch the product into shops like HMV. I'd say Bure Media Group. Notice that I'm saying I'd say a lot, and obviously don't care. Mainly teenagers. I'd say they're mostly associated with like house music these days. Just like, you know, like 90s kids would probably be associated with grunge, you know, like Nirvana. 80s kids, probably, maybe punk rock, I don't know. I'd say that in this generation, like, teenagers are mainly associated with house, so yeah, teenagers. The music's for everyone, it's not going to really have a set gender. My target audience with the survey, they were all 12 to 17. A lot of my choices were based on that age group from what they wanted to see in the magazine. All my characters are good role models. They're more like aspirers, and they wouldn't have a bad influence. I would say the main design and the layout. I tried to mirror popular magazines like Q and Billboard, Kerrang. It makes people feel comfier and less alienated. That kind of layout people are used to seeing. I think if they saw something new, I don't know whether they would like it or not, like if they're hipster. I don't think I'd like seeing anything new. Seeing like a recognisable layout would attract more of an audience. So the second reason would be the colour scheme. Because the colour scheme works for everyone, like both genders. I also include a lot of features such as names and content which my target group suggested. That should attract more people, especially that. I mainly use Microsoft Publisher. A lot of other people were using Word and they kept asking me why I was using Publisher. Because everything's more accessible, it's easy to get to, I'm used to it from using it before. There's a lot of like basic features on there that are just perfect to use for obviously creating a magazine. Cropping it, changing the tone, the shadows, the contrast, brightness. It is kind of similar to Word, but Word's you have to faff around a lot more, whereas Publisher's more simple. I did try to develop my skills on Photoshop, and that didn't really work out. It kind of worked out. Actually, it didn't, so I just stuck with Publisher. Need to improve a lot more in Photoshop if I was to do another magazine. When getting all my research together, like the surveys and everything, I used Microsoft PowerPoint. I used SlideShare to save and share my PowerPoints to Blogspot. PowerPoint was the best way to show all my results because it's clear to see and it's well organised. We had a brief to create a school magazine. Mine was for coming back to school for sixth formers. Looking at my final magazine and my first school magazine, it's safe to say that my skills have improved. Skills have developed because I've researched more into conventions that magazines used. My chair squeaking, not anything else. Anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, I looked at these conventions and I also researched like looking at other house magazines, like popular ones. For each one I tried to find like a link what all of them included, like Synergy, and included that in mine. A lot of my conventions can also be like compared to other magazines. For the first time I didn't really do any research, I kind of just jumped straight into it and it kind of looked more like a film poster. I also used like The Theory of Needs by Maslow. Tried to keep the sense of belonging for the audience the whole time. Throughout designing my whole magazine I tried to think about how I could make the audience feel like they belonged and welcome to the actual content. That's why I didn't like risk anything by changing it or changing a typical magazine look so the audience were used to what they were looking at. Overall I'm pretty pleased with the outcome of the process of my whole magazine. You can tell it's a magazine, which is the main thing I suppose, but I could have included more of the female gender in it. I can slightly get away with that. I haven't put anything sexist in it, you know, that doesn't allow women to read my magazine. Apart from that, I'd say I'm pretty pleased with the outcome.